Did you know that there's a possibility that your core values, your beliefs, your preferences of the person that you are today was created when you were just a kid? When you were about a little year old, 5 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old. Sounds a little crazy? Maybe not, right? Today we're going to be diving into that and ultimately realizing how we can consciously choose to be the person that we want to be. So often we want to create this certain life and we find ourselves having a hard time taking action, having a hard time to try to create that type of life. We're afraid, we have doubts, we have disbeliefs and all this stuff. And the reason why is because we're trying to create a different life being the same person. The way we are determines the type of life that we have. And so if we go, I don't want to have the same life, I want to create a different life. And it could be a different job, a different career, or just something entirely different. Redefine ourselves. I want to express myself a lot more differently. Then we gotta be a different person. And so to be a different person, we gotta know how we were created, how this personality came to be. What made me define this being good and this being bad, this being my preference and that being not, you know? This being my ideal way of the way I look and etc. What created all of this? Most of us did not really choose. We were influenced by parents, teachers, media, friends, and so we all have this similar ideal, especially when people are living in the same country, same area. They all have this similar type of ideal. You know, and we were taught to grow up to know that the most important thing is to survive, you know, to make a living. Because if you can't make a living, you're gonna die out there. Nobody's gonna support you, you know? And so you gotta make a living, you gotta make money, you gotta be successful, you know, at least enough. And I know there are some people out there, you know, some parents out there that actually tell their children, hey, you know, the important thing is not just about making money when you grow up, it's about, you know, being yourself. It's about believing in yourself. It's about following your dreams. It's about following your purpose and your passion. You know, it's about how you treat people, you know, not just about what you do, you know, that stuff will come and go. You know, I know personally for me, growing up in a Chinese family, that is not what they told us. So when it comes to redefining ourselves and choosing to be the way we want to be, we got to see how we were created. And a lot of the core beliefs and values that we were created on were based on events that happened in our childhood, particularly events that created a elevated feeling. So there's tons of events that are happening all the time. Every day is an event. But every day doesn't stick out for us because the events that really stick out are the ones that we really feel a lot from, because that's when we really pay attention. Other than that, we're kind of just on autopilot. You know, things are going by, but we're not even paying attention. It's like driving to work and not realizing that you got there, you know? Or the whole day going by, you're like, damn, you know, it's been like 6 hours that passed by. What was I doing those last 6 hours, you know? We're running our subconscious mind, our program. These events that really made an elevated feeling in our body, those are the ones we pay attention to. Those are the ones that have shaped our personality and our values and our beliefs. And so if we want to redefine who we are so we can create the future that we want, we need to go back and figure it out. Because there's a good chance that we haven't done enough of that. And these agreements, these perceptions that we have of these events, they are perceptions from we were still children. 5 years old, 10 years old, 13 years old. You know, if you're watching this and you agreed on something when you were 5 years old, but now you're 25 years old, well, it's been like 20 years. You may look at the same event, have a different perspective. And these beliefs that you had when you were 5, you may have a different belief on it now. You may go, well, you know, I'm going to see it differently now. And suddenly, if that belief that you had when you were 5 made a big difference, that created a ripple effect, well, now you get to look at it, you get to decide differently, and then now a core belief in you have just changed. A certain value have just changed. A part of you have just changed. And when you're doing that over and over and over, now you're able to redefine yourself based on choosing who you want to be now and not choosing way back in the day. Because that doesn't make no sense. Just because you're 5 years old or you're 10 years old and you decide on something because that's the best decision you can make at the time, doesn't mean you still hold on to the same truth now as a grown person, you know? Doesn't make any sense. But yet, so many of us are so busy with our lives trying to create a different future that we don't look back to see how we, the most important asset in our life, how we were created, how our personalities were created. And then we wonder why it's so hard or such a struggle to go ahead and do the things that we want to do, to not have fear, to still face this lack of confidence and all of these things. And we think it's just because this thing is tough. No, it has nothing to do with the thing being tough. It has to do with the way we see ourselves, which was defined and created from back in the day. So when we do that, now we're able to consciously choose. And when we're able to consciously choose who we are, now we get to choose something that is aligned with the future that we want to create. So to sum it up, make sure you go back and you find how you were defined, how type of perspectives, what the perspectives were that made you have agreements with your parents, looking at them a certain way. My mom loved me, my mom didn't like me, she always saw me as being this and that. My dad, blah, blah, blah. You know, my friends, I saw myself in a certain way based on these events. And there's a good chance that we may still see ourselves the same way. And I'm telling you this because I'm speaking from my own experience too, along with talking with many people. This is a very important thing. If we ever want to go ahead and get past a lot of these hurdles, you know, that are preventing us from fully expressing who we are and fully creating the future that we want. You know, there's a lot easier ways to do so. And there are things that we're doing that we don't know how to do, and we work hard and we can do it. And then there are times where we are just lacking confidence. We are just lacking action. And that's entirely different from not having the skill set. Not having the skill set, you keep screwing it up until you get better. But lacking action, you can't even have the opportunity to screw up. And this lack of action, it comes from a lack of belief, lack of self-esteem, self-sabotage, and all this stuff. And so when we're trying to create the future that we want, we need to get past all that stuff. So that's why it's really important to recreate who we are and the way we see ourselves, which is why we gotta go in the past. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna be covering a lot more on this subject. Really, really important for us to be empowered so we can face this new world, this new year, and be able to fully express who we really are. Peace out.